Hi, I'm Rich.
Hi, I'm Eric,
And I'm Craig.
and we are Whose Turn Gaming. Today we're going to be talking about our top 5 board games we've played at the moment. There's not a lot that we've played as far as newer stuff goes, just because, we're very busy adults, and we have very busy adulting things to do. But we figured we'd get this out so that way we can kind of talk about it. We're all going to take our turns, say what our top 5 is, kind of, I don't want to say defend it, but say why it's, ranked where it is, and then insult each other, because that's what you do. So.
And I think it's going to be good to see where our favorites change over. We're doing our little board game journey with YouTube channel and trying to eventually have a game shop. And yeah, see how that changes as we actively try and play more games.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy looking back at this in 6 months a year. But
Whereas none of these are going to be on our list then.
I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. It would be a surprise if our list completely changes, but I digress. Let's just jump right into number 5.
My number 5 is one of the games that kind of got me into gaming a lot more. It's basically a drafting, redrafting game. It is Seven Wonders. It was really awesome. We played it a bajillion times, and I never really got sick of it. So thank you, Seven Wonders, for getting me into gaming.
I would have to agree that we played that game way too much years ago, and I think that's one of the reasons why I like it, I enjoy it, I respect it, but I just never really, I think we played it too much.
Yep, overplayed.
Yeah, hands down.
Wait.
But
Like
it was
games with birds.
It was, yeah. We'll get into that. But it was one of those ones that we just kind of, it took off. We all kind of figured out that this was way more than it could be. But yeah, it's a good number 5. My number 5 is one that most people have never heard of, and these guys hate, but it is the great Civilization. And yeah, you can hear that. That's all the pieces flying around. There's a lot of pieces, and the fact that I got not one, but 2 to help sort it all out. That's probably why a lot of people are shied away from it, is that there is a lot of build-up in that game. And it takes about 3 hours to play, but it was kind of like Richard, one of my first ones that really kind of opened my mind, and it was phenomenal. I loved how in-depth it was, and yeah, I love that game. I know you guys aren't a big fan of it because it takes forever and I always win, but it's great.
Yeah, it takes almost as long to set it up as it does to finish.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. That's why it's number 5 and not higher.
My number 5 would probably be Parks.
Which we also have right here.
Parks is a really fun area denial game and resource collection game. And if you really want to try it out, I would totally suggest it.
I had to do a double take when he said area denial, and I'm like, that's right, because you can't double up on the hikers. I had to really think about that for a second, but yeah, that's a good way to explain it. Not the words I would have used, but that's a definite right on the money. And you've never played this one, have you, Rich?
No. I thought I did once, but yeah, now as he explains the game and you guys mentioned hikers, I've never played the game.
Yeah.
As with everything else on Craigslist.
I like this one because it is snack size, so it's about a half hour or so. Yeah. Once you know what you're doing.
40 to 70 minutes.
That's a lie.
Most of those are lies.
Most of those are lies. Yeah, I'd say it's more closer to a half hour to 40 minutes. Yeah. But it was really, really good. I like it. The artwork is beautiful. So
increases in duration quite a bit the more players you get, though.
Yeah, it does.
So then number 4. Number 4, I hemmed and hawed about a bunch, and a bunch of different games fit in here. But I ended up going with probably my favorite style of game, with resource management and worker placement of Stone Age. Another game we played an absolute buttload of. Not necessarily got us into gaming, but kind of was the go-to game for a very long time that we played every time we got together. It was, let's play Stone Age. Okay, now let's try and find a new game, and then do that. And then maybe even go back to Stone Age. Or it's just, let's play 3 games of Stone Age throughout a day.
Yeah, and yeah, that's why it's so great, though, is that there's so many options. And it's not just hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to win every time. It's there's so many ways to play that one.
Yeah, and they're all pretty equal. Like I can, one time I'm gonna go tech. The next time I'm just gonna make a ton of babies, get a bunch of food.
Don't do that. Nope. Hard pass. Like hands down. Oh, we'll talk about that in another video, but you do not want to just be making babies in Stone Age.
Yes.
Ah.
You'll end up spending all your babies getting the food.
Yeah.
So it doesn't balance itself out.
We'll get
as
into
well
that
as
in
it
another
would.
video, but that is a can of worms, that right there. So, my number 4 is Imperial Settlers, and I have it right here. Oh, this is a deck building game with meeples and a lot of resource management, and it was just phenomenal. I think the first time, because you obviously brought it over, and he's the one who buys all the games, he's the one who has them all. But the first time he brought it over, I think we played it twice. He brought it over the next time, I think we played 4 games back to back to back to back. And it was just disgustingly awesome. So that's why I had to make number 4. I really like this one. It can be very broken
Yes.
and very overpowered because it's an engine building game, but oh man, it's a very good one. So
My number 4 is Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. It is another engine building game. We don't have it here with us, but we will probably put a little picture here of it. But another really fun game. I would say I like that one more than the original Terraforming Mars, just because it's a lot cleaner and not as heavy and doesn't take quite as long to get to the table because it's significantly longer, the original game. But yeah, Ares Expedition is my number 4.
raise your hand if you've never played it. You always say about it, and you always say how good it is, but we just never sat down and played it. But that'll change,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm sure it'll make my list next time because it does always look really good. But I never played it.
For sure. So number 3. My number 3 is another, doing this list, I found the style of games that I really enjoy. It's basically the same style as Stone Age, just different aesthetic, really, and you also complete quests. But I love the Dungeons and Dragons theme, and it's Lords of Waterdeep.
Oh.
One of my favorite games of all time. Once again, you'll hear this a lot. We played together for quite some time. A game we just sat down and played a million times. Good cough, Rich. It's a game we sat down and played a million times at the table. Had that game, a bunch of other games, or just done that game the whole time, and
We did that
it's
one.
really fun.
We
Now
did
we
that
have
one
what's
before.
there's an expansion too.
There's a 2, I think.
There's
There's 2 expansions. We have them,
expansions, but I
something with like
believe they're-
Cthulhu.
yeah, there's
No, wrong
No.
wrong
Well,
one.
it has the little symbol. It has the like.
No, one is
Yeah.
I think the deep mine, the deep something with that, but
yeah.
deep mining. That's all I remember. That one was
Scoundrels of Skullport and
that was the bad one because there's one that's really bad.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say really bad, but there's one that we did.
There's
not
one.
like.
There's one we don't play with, and one we do play with.
Yeah, yep. And it was the mining one we play with. The scoundrels we don't because we didn't like the skulls.
yeah.
And some of those cards get too overpowered.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lords of Waterdeep, great game.
Yeah, and I completely forgot about that one because we played them really hard for so long, and then we just stopped because we're like, okay, we're sick of that, and then we shelve it and we just forget about it, and then life happens, we don't go back to, and I forgot all about that freaking game until you just said that, and I think I might need to change my list, but it's already made. We're just gonna
Lists are already changing.
yeah, but I have to go number 3. Echoing Richard, Stone Age. It was by far one of the best meeple placement and resource control ones in general that we played, and I still to this day could sit down and play it just out of the box, just don't even care. And it's a great intro game too. Like it's a really easy one to kind of get into, and it's a good just in general board game. It's a good all around one. So
For sure. Not too many with that much, I guess, strategy and ways to go about it. That's also kind of an easy setup. You're just pulling out lumber, brick, and gold, and
setting up the
meeples
cards and setting up however
Yeah.
many stacks for houses. And there's an expansion which is pretty cool. It actually added stuff that was valuable. Seems like expansions are always 50-50. That one was actually pretty good. I like playing with the expansion more than not. So
Nice.
yeah, number 3, Stone Age.
My number 3 would be Power Grid. It's a very fun resource management economy auction game. Very mathy, but it is a really big hit in the group, and
You'll see that.
Yep. And I just love how you explain these, because again I have to go, why would you use those words together? But that's exactly what it is, but why would you use those words?
So Craig's number 3 is a perfect intro to my number 2, which is Power Grid. It's more of a deeper strategy game than the other ones so far listed. If you like stuff like that, definitely analysis by paralysis or paralysis by analysis can happen quite often, but mainly you need to be looking ahead and trying to purchase your end game power plants as early as possible. You're looking at what part of the turn, like you have to decide what part of the turn order you want to be in and try and position yourself to be in the right part of the turn order, to get the right thing, to get the right power plant, to choose the right cities.
Yep.
There's a lot going into it, and I think that's what makes it so fun.
yeah, there's a lot of figuring out where you want to be on in like the turn order, because if you're first to go, you'll be the first to bid and get the power plants. But then it snakes back around to where the last player to go also is the first one to buy all the resources that are needed. So they could outbid you on the resources and make it so you have to pay a hefty on the resources in the future for your power plant.
That, and it's limited, so it's like only so much comes back out at the end of each turn.
Mm-hmm.
So it can really, like you said, analysis paralysis. It just stops you because you go, okay, I have to think about this because yes, I'm first to buy, and that coal one is amazing, but I'm last to buy the resources and I won't get any more.
Only so much coal out
And then
there.
there's some that,
how expensive could I afford it?
yeah,
It is
exactly. So, because that's again, my number 2 is Power Grid as well. As he said, it was a big hit in the group, and it was one of the first ones that was it was above us. We honestly had to read the rule book 5 or 8 times to figure out, and even then we missed stuff. So I don't even think we could play it right if we tried playing it today, but maybe we try. Who knows? Yeah, it was just so good, and it's a great game. It is very complex though, so there's no way around that. The learning curve is steep.
My number 2 would be Root. I know Richard has not played it yet, but I have played a couple games with Eric. One of the things I really like about Root, it's a area control game, but every faction plays slightly different, so it takes a bit to learn the game because you have to basically, if you have 4 or 5 players, you have to teach them every single faction and how they play out to get it going if you're the first time playthrough on it.
It's very similar. Imperial Settlers, that was on my list, has a whole bunch of different factions and they all play differently. It's the same idea of the game, but they all have unique cards. Root is like that on steroids, where the factions are entirely alone, and it was insane because we only learned the 2 and we barely understood the 2. And even in the rulebook, it's flat out going, don't use these other ones if it's 2-player because you ain't gonna understand it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a fun game that we definitely need to play again. Which
Yeah.
we will. We'll bring it back to the table, but that's a fun one. That'll be fun to learn. So
fun to enjoy for the first time.
yeah, yep, pretty much.
So I guess we're at number 1. My number 1 is probably going to be a lot different than everyone else's. I think of my favorite board game as just what I would like to play it every time if it's available. Distance. Just the ultimate bluffing game. I know there's other bluffing games, and they're good, and I play a bunch of them. I enjoy a good bluffing game. Sheriff of Nottingham.
Sheriff is very good.
Coup. There's some other ones, but and Avalon. But I like the resistance and just regular resistance. I don't like the special things. They're good to mix it up every once in a while. But the thing that puts me with the resistance as number 1 is it's just open. You know, it's all just you. There's no other thing. It's just, hey, go do this, put people on missions, whatever. It's all bluffing. and just making up a scenario, and it's a fun time with friends.
Yeah.
Lot of interesting situations have come out with with the Resistance.
Yeah. So let's just give a quick synopsis of that game. When there's 5 people, there are 2 people who are called the spies, and they try to throw missions, and you have to deduce all together, all at the same time, who the spies are. The spies know who they are, but everyone else has to figure that out. So it's very tricky. You lie through your teeth, and you do a lot of backstabbing. It is a lot of fun, but the one thing I will say that didn't make it on my list for that reason was that Craig is always a spy.
Conveniently.
We have played this game 50 times at least, and I think he's been the spy 45 of them. So the 5 times he wasn't, it was Craig, you're a spy. I'm not the spy. Craig, you're the spy. No, I'm not the spy. Yeah, it was. That is the one problem, is that you have to do certain things in that game, which is why I think you say it's free, and I kind of think it's a little constraining when you're a spy. It's a lot of fun because you're trying to get away with everything, but you also have to kind of talk your way out of everything, and that can be very exhausting. So
That's true.
it does kind of. You can only play that once, maybe twice, and then
I know my play. Oh yeah, it's hard to keep going, and my play style in that game's definitely changed. It used to be outgoing and very boisterous all the time, but then you find, hey, when you're a spy, it's hard to say a lot without giving a lot of information away. So then you become a lot more quieter and reserved on both sides,
And that
so
becomes-
that you even yourself out.
Yeah, and that becomes a dead giveaway when you're super loud and talkative, and all of a sudden you're super quiet. It's like, well, what changed between the 2 games? Only one thing could have. You're a spy, and that has caused people to lose the game before. So it's very fun for intelligent people. I shouldn't even say that, because it's not really intelligent. It's just as simple as you need to pay attention to what's going on. And they have a lot of different versions of it out there, like Among Us and Evil and
It's
Werewolf.
But
It's definitely rough sometimes when you play with some newer players and they kind of give it away right away on accident. It's not their fault, but yeah. But then on the other hand, then you just play it a few times and get them used to it, and then usually they get over those few tells, and then it's game on.
Yeah, there's a lot that you have to kind of remember on like actions people take throughout the whole game. I would say like
Who they voted for.
What people vote for when they're trying to get them onto the missions can be a huge giveaway on whether someone's a spy or not. And
it is. You have to pay attention in that game. You can't. It's a nice party game, but you can't be drinking while you play that game because you need to be focused and you need to be just. you're not wrong. I never win when I. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I need to work on my drinking. But no, I think it's a good, respectable first choice. I think that we just. I don't know. It's very situational in that game, but it is a good game.
You have to get the right group together. You get the right group together, it's some of the best times you'll have.
And when there's one new person, like it's horrible because they're literally learning the whole game, and you have to pretty much watch both ends of it. You can't just be all like, "Well, I'm a spy right off the bat. What do I do?" Because someone literally, I think, I don't remember who we were playing with, but they were Resistance, and they threw the fail, and like 2 turns later, they're like. Let's just assume that somebody accidentally threw the wrong card. Well, we wouldn't do that because you can't do that. Let's just assume someone who just started playing the game might have thrown the wrong card.
Yeah, that happened. I think that was Tom. That was one of Tom's.
Oh, Tom.
Yeah. So yeah, he threw a fail card while he was a blue
Resistance, which cannot happen. It is in the rules. You cannot do that.
And yeah. Yeah, that made for everyone was confused. and no
even the spies, but whatever. So, good job. Alright, my number 1 is Craig's least favorite game to play because he never wins. But I really like this game. I don't even know, you brought it over again, and...
Did it to myself.
Yep. Both me and my wife just absolutely loved it. We actually saw that there was expansions for it, and I think before we got done watching the video to how to play, she had it in her cart and bought. It was already on the way. So, number 1, Quacks of Quandleberg. I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
Quacks of Quandleberg.
This beast, Mega Box.
Can you see you behind there?
Can you see me? Can you see me? So, this thing is so fun because it's very much a push your luck, and you instead of a deck building, you build your sack, but it is a potion sack, so you have to put ingredients into a potion, and it's just awesome. The main game had a severe flaw where once you started falling behind, you were done, but the expansions kind of fixed that, and they added a lot more stuff that made it even better. So this is probably, I will play this one every day and twice on Sunday. I love this game. It is just so good.
And it is Sunday, so it looks like we're playing it twice.
Oh. There you go. So it's a pretty, it gets kind of long with more people. I won't deny that, but it has 6 different, or I guess the original game had 4 different variants of each card, and it was all different. So you start playing with certain ones, they do certain things. So when you take out a blue chip, for example, you can take out other chips and put them into your pot, or you try to stop it from blowing up. And then the yellows sometimes will like give you double points, and sometimes they'll let you take whites back, and the mushrooms will sometimes let you take it out to the side. There's just so many options. It's never the same game twice, and it's always a fun little, how am I going to win with what's on the board? And I love it. It's also the fact that there's luck involved and that you don't know what you're pulling out of your bag, and that's where Craig always fails, because he pushes his luck, but also he's unlucky. Like, I don't understand how you can have 5 things in that bag that could blow you up out of 70, and you would still draw all 5. Like, you've done that before, where it's like the first 4 out of your bag are all white, and it's like the last round of the game where you have 50 things in there.
Yeah. I don't know the exact statistic of it, but like nearing the end of the game, when I have like 30-something different chips in the bag, I'm pulling them out, I'll go a little bit, but then lo and behold, after about 10 out of the 40 that are in there, I'm pretty much on the verge of exploding, and have to continue pushing my luck, and I almost always blow up in like the last 1 or 2 rounds. If you blow up once, you're pretty much out of it.
Yep.
It's really not forgiving in the last round or 2, especially the last round, because you get the extra victory points if you don't blow up. But
well, it's unforgiving if no one else blows up. So if I blow up once or twice throughout the game, then someone else needs to blow up once or twice. If you don't blow up the entire game, you win.
Yeah,
which is where it's like, I love that, because I won't push my luck. I'll just be like, whatever, I'm going to stop here. It's always fun to take the last one out and go, would I have blown up? Oh, yeah, it would have kept going, but oh well, sucks to suck.
If you blow up in like round 1 or 2, it's not necessarily as bad because you're not losing as much. Like, you're probably you can skip out on the 1 victory point to still load your bag with 1 or 2 chips.
Which is the best option.
We've found it more like, we found that putting 2 chips into your bag and buying 2 every round is probably the best option, because having more chips just dilutes the bag to not blow up as often. I wouldn't know, but that's what it should be.
That's my strategy, and it works out. I don't say I would win every time, but I've won probably 75% of that game. I have a horseshoe up my ass.
We usually,
I don't know.
We usually have like close to the same strategy. It might be slightly differing, but mine always just goes off the rail, and I explode in the last round. I don't know if it's maybe because sometimes it's because I'm pushing my luck, because I know I have to, because I know, okay, I need to get this far in order for me to almost guarantee the win, or I have to get all the way to the end of the potion and before not blowing up, and hoping that I can get all the way there to have a chance of winning.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because it's always different. It's never the same game twice, like even remotely.
Yeah.
And that is why it's my number 1. Have you ever played it, Rich?
Nope, never played it. Sounds like fun.
Yeah. Small disclaimer, we've known each other for way too long, and we've been playing board games for most of that time. The thing with Rich is that he actually moved away for 2 or 3 years, where he was about an hour away.
3 years, yeah. And then when I came back, I had a kid. So 2 things to limit time.
Yeah, so we've been trying to catch up with that, and that's where we're like, okay, we have to get you a lot of stuff with this, but we're all very busy adults, as I've said.
Yeah.
So.
And like, I have a lot of different games, but I have quite a few that I've probably never played, and even more that I've probably only played once or twice. So
yeah, so it'll be fun playing those, and that's where our lists are probably going to adjust, because
change.
For a small sliver preview, we have Scythe, We have 2 copies of Scythe. I have one, he's got one. I didn't know he had one, that's why I got my copy of Scythe.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal game, but I've only played it twice.
And I've only really played it once.
And it's a lot. So you can't just say, hey, it's a great game because it's a great game. You have to really, like, thoroughly play games, I feel, in order for them to be one of your best. And, like, here, we could play any of these because we love all of them. You know, we can't play Resistance because we only have 3 of us, but just about everything else. In fact, I want to
the
play...
game's not here.
After talking about Power Grid, we're going to play Power Grid when this camera comes off, like, hands down. But you need it here, not there. So.
Yeah. And my number 1 is Architects of the West Kingdom. It is a very fun worker placement game and resource management. Richard, I don't think has played that one yet, and me and Eric have played it quite a few times. I'd like to bring it over because it's my number 1. I love playing it, but it's not necessarily the best game in the series, but it's the only one I currently own. I'm looking forward to maybe buying one of the other ones, but I currently do not have it. So it'd be interesting to see if that one stays up at the top, or if one of the other ones happens to take its place in the future.
Yeah, and I do like that game a lot, just because Stone Age you start out with 5 meeples, and then Waterdeep you start out with 2 or 3, and then you get one more halfway through. That one you get all 20 meeples right off the bat. That's really nice. The problem I have with it is that you're supposed to be able to play it corruptly, and that's what I try to do to see if it wins, and it always loses to you building that dang cathedral, like every time. So it's still needs some ironing out on things, but yeah, it's
tactics. Yeah,
it's a very fun game. I will not deny that. It is really fun building that engine on that one / placing those workers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, sounds fun. One to know.
It's true. He wouldn't.
Anyway, that's my number 1, Architects of the West Kingdom.
Well, that was our top 5. Big rundown nostalgia row, as a lot of those games were super fun for a long period of time for all of us, as you saw some of the workaround. Looking forward to seeing how those lists change. If you have your top 5, go ahead and write it down in the comments below. If you disagree with ours, if you like some of ours, if they're all too old, let us know. But I mean, if you're mean to me, I'll fight you. So
He does fight. He bites, he kicks, he screams. He's a man child.
yeah, and then like and subscribe so you can see all the rest of the stuff we do and continue watching us on our board game journey. So yeah, until next time, this is Whose Turn Gaming. I was Rich.
I've been Eric.
And still Craig.
See you next time.
See ya.